AVP Wargamers, I am back. This is Jason with another video. I have been so busy this year, I didn't have a chance to make very many videos at all, really. And so I'm going to just come back with a vengeance. I'm going to do another top 10 Halloween games of 2024. Now, I feel like I'm going to run out of games next year because I'm just showing all these games, top 10 different games each year, but who cares? I'm just going to do it. We'll see if I buy 10 games by next year. I have a couple games I'll bring out next year for sure, but I'm just going to show my favorites. These are the ones I just grabbed off my shelf because I thought they would be great. So here we go. Number 10, we have the Creeps of Keister Island. This is a game from Bustagut Games, one of my favorite independent gaming companies. This game is really fun. It's a very fast-paced game. It scales up. It's got 2 decks. When you have more players, you just mix in the other deck. In this game, it's basically kind of like memory. So you're going to have all these monsters, right? And this is based off of just a regular card game. But they've got all these crazy illustrations, and what you're going to do is you're going to have 4 cards laid out. Now, at the beginning of the game, you look at 2, you put them back, and you've got to try to remember what they are, and each turn you may draw a card from the top of the deck and play it, or you could draw a card from the discard pile and replace one of the cards in your pile. Now, you don't have to know what the cards are, but eventually you're going to want to either match the numbers or get the least amount of points as possible. And then at some point, instead of playing, you're going to yell Keister. Everybody else gets one more turn, and then you flip over your cards to see who had the least amount of points. And the person with the least amount of points wins, and you'll keep a tally and do like best out of 10, or you could have like some sort of points limit where you add up all the points, and the first person to make it 500 points loses, and then, of course, the person with the least amount of points wins. So that is a really fun game, Creeps of Keister Island. It is one of my favorite games to play at game night. It plays really quick, and it's really funny when you're with a bunch of guys that know a lot of really crunchy rule sets, and then you give them a basic game of memory, and just you look at the card and it just goes right out the window as soon as you put the card down. You go, I don't even remember what I just looked at. So it's a pretty fun game. You'll love it, whether you're a novice card player or an experienced gamer. Creeps of Keister Island, you'll be laughing your keister off. Coming in at number 9, we have another game from Bustagut Games, Trailer Park Wars. And specifically, the Trailer Park Wars Terror Expansion. Yes, I did get this autographed by the game designers. So this game, you are going to be managing your own trailer park. You have a bunch of silly cards. And then you're going to have a bunch of cards that it doesn't matter which ones you have, but these are all the trailers that you're going to have in the game. You're going to make yourself a little trailer park. You put them around in a circle, and as you play the game, you're going to get a hand of 6 cards, and you can play up to 3 cards per turn by placing these cards into your trailer park or into other people's trailers. Now, these little flamingos at the top count as positive points. There's other flamingos in here that count as negative points. The little black flamingo right there, that's a negative point. And then there's different icons here that mean certain things. You got text on the card saying what it does. But you can also do things in the game like, you can blow up people's trailers with Molotov cocktails and all sorts of other fun things. You can create disasters, you can have alien abductions, you can have a werewolf tear through everybody's trailer park eating tenants out of the park. And basically, at the end of each round, or at the beginning of each round, rather, you're going to be gathering these flamingos. Now, I got way too many flamingos here because I've been grabbing extra packs from other people. But basically, the pink flamingos come in the base set. The purple flamingos come in the Terror expansion. It doesn't matter what color these flamingos are. It just matters what color's on the card. But at the end of the game, once all the flamingos have been gathered, the person with the most flamingos wins. And it's a good screw your buddy over, or you could try to help out another park in order for them to ally against another trailer park. You're going to be moving around tenants, you're going to be destroying tenants, you're going to be causing mischief, mayhem, and there's a lot of fun. Creepy cards like killer clowns, assassinating kitty cats, and terrible garden gnomes. So another great fun game from Bustigat Games. This is one of my go-to games with my normal gamer friends, even my normie friends. So Trailer Park Wars, I give it a thumbs up. Number 8, we got Ghostbusters 2. Now, I talked about Ghostbusters in the last video last year. Ghostbusters 2 is pretty much the same game, only, of course, based off of the sequel movie. Now, in this game, you're going to be running around busting ghosts. It's kind of like Zombicide, where ghosts will constantly be entering the battlefield while you run around trying to bust the ghosts, send them back to the netherworld, and then hopefully don't get overwhelmed. So it's pretty much the same as last time. But in this game, you're going to have new board sections, new tokens, new kinds of things you can do, more ghosts, different kind of ghosts coming in on the battlefield. And of course, you can also run around in the Statue of Liberty. So your guys actually fit up here in the top of the Statue of Liberty miniature, and you can shoot the ghosts from riding the Statue of Liberty. And of course, there's the very dreaded Vigo, which is probably the best ghost from the Ghostbusters series. So here's Vigo here. You can paint him up like the cartoon version, and he does have a card that goes in the back of this that is his portrait painting. So yeah, you're going to be sliming up the town, making things come alive like the Statue of Liberty, and busting those ghosts. Very appropriate game for Halloween. Alright, number 7. And finally, an Alien game made it on my top 10 for Halloween. And this is an Alien Predator channel. So Alien, the board game, this game is really good. I was going to put it on last year's one, but I ran out of space. But yes, this game is fantastic. Another one from Ravensburger, or whatever they call it. Right when you open up the game, you're greeted with the cat. So you get a little surprise there. This game is based off the first movie of Alien. You're going to be running around the Nostromo, collecting scraps, building gear, avoiding the android, and of course the alien. Now the alien is unkillable. It will teleport around, it'll move around the board, it'll block your passage of escape, and then it's a race against time, and once you do get to the end, you have to reveal what your secret missions were, which you might end up failing if you didn't grab enough scrap, or enough oxygen, or whatever the mission says at the end of the game. So, victory is never guaranteed. This game is made by the same company that does Horrified. Horrified, again, plays very similar to Alien, and a lot of their games are kind of a reskin of the same game mechanic, but Alien, in particular, is a really good version of that rule set. So again, I highly recommend Alien, The Fate of the Nostromo. This is very, very, very good game. Number 6, we have Evil Dead 2, the board game. Now this game has a very interesting history. This one was originally on Kickstarter, and they were manufacturing it, they were finishing the game, and then the company went out of business, and all the backers had a gnashing of teeth and a rending of clothes because they were not going to get their game. However, out of nowhere, we were saved by another company stepped in. Jasco Games came in and bought the rights to this game that was already complete and manufactured it and sent it out to backers, even though they technically didn't have to. Now, in this game, you're going to be playing a bunch of the survivors from the show, including Ash, and you have an evil version and a regular version of each of these characters. As you're running around the board, deadites will be pouring in, a lot like Zombicide. these deadites will be coming in from all angles trying to kill your guys. Now, at some point, one of you in the group may actually be a deadite, unbeknownst to the other players. So the other players will suddenly have to choose whether or not you are a friend or a foe. And there is ways to reveal who is a deadite and who isn't. Once you are revealed to be a deadite, however, everybody will be trying to stop you. The goal of the game is to get all the pages to the Necronomicon and get it to the portal. If you're the good guys and you get all the pages to the Necronomicon, you can close the portal. If you're the deadite player and you get to the portal with all the pages in the Necronomicon, the gates of hell open and the world is destroyed. So it's pretty fun because everybody will be working together trying to get those pages of the Necronomicon. However, if one person starts greedily grabbing all the pages, you might not be sure if they're a deadite or a human. So again, Evil Dead 2, the board game. It is fun. It plays fairly simple once you learn the rules. It's a lot like Zombicide in its play structure of move and search and move and fight. You know, it's very, very similar. So once you play it a couple rounds, you'll be like, this is easy. But it is a race to the finish. So fun game. Number 5. The Thing, the board game. Now this is the second version of this game that I have. I have another version. It was Outpost 31, which was a very smaller version of the game. This one, however, is a little bit bigger, different game company, but basically the same kind of idea. You're going to have your survivors from the film. They even have a Norwegian expansion, but if you want to play the prequel, and again, it has beautiful miniatures. It even has little cardboard standees if you don't want to use the miniatures. But of course, on this channel, we love the miniatures. So in this game, you're going to be fighting over resources to stay alive. You got to keep yourself from getting frozen. You got to eat. You got to keep the power on. There's all sorts of mayhem that's going to happen in this game. And meanwhile, as you work your way through the complex, trying to repair the station and get to the helicopter, the Thing will be infiltrating and sabotaging everything that you do. Now, some of the players will become things during the game, and it will become is your buddy a betrayer or not kind of situation. So you're going to be rolling dice, gathering items, and sabotaging or fixing the station as you try to escape on the helicopter. And if the Thing escapes, the humans lose. So, again, very thematic game. I think this is probably a little bit more polished than the older version of the game, and the miniatures are fantastic. I just love this game. Again, it's The Thing, the board game. All right, next on my list we have number 4. We have Alien, the RPG. Yes, another Alien game. Finally made it onto my top 10 Alien games, or, well, Halloween games, here on the AVB Wargamer channel. Alien, the role-play game. I wasn't really sure what to think of it at first, because when I first flipped through the book, you have lots and lots of text, and not very many rules, just lots of lore and just background and history. But that is the cool thing about this game. Now, they have a ton of expansions, and each expansion has a different scenario that kind of play into each additional scenario. So it's actually telling a full story. It's very cinematic the way this plays. And the thing that I really like about this game is the simplicity of the dice. When you're rolling the dice, you need to get a success to get anything done. You're going to roll a handful of dice, depending on what the DM says, and depending on your character's abilities. And when you roll those dice, if you get any success at all, you do it, and the game moves on. However, if you roll a failure, it doesn't matter how many successes you rolled, but the failure always trumps everything else that you did. Now, when you're in a stressful situation, you can add stress dice. Now, the stress dice actually have even more failures on them. However, you have a way better chance of achieving what you need to do. So even though your odds are increasing on your ability to get stuff done when under stress, you also have even higher chance of screwing things up and things going badly. Now, the book itself is very well written. It's got a lot of really neat stuff about the Alien franchise lore and the history of the Black Goo and everything from Prometheus all the way up. So if you are an Alien fan and don't play games, this book is still right for you because it's got a lot of really neat information and maps and things about the Alien universe that you will not want to miss out. Number 3, Abomination. Now, a good friend of mine introduced me to this game, and I fell in love with it. This game is a resource management game where you play as a scientist trying to resurrect a monster for Frankenstein. The Frankenstein monster wants you to create his bride, and you must go around town stealing cadavers, maybe even performing murder to get the body parts you need to create his bride. Now, on your character sheet, you're going to have these dials. These dials regulate your humanity, your reputation, and your expertise. Now, the better expertise you get, the quicker and better you are at building your monster. Your reputation can also give you increased ability of gathering resources, and your humanity. If your humanity drops to 0, you are evil and you are out of the game. So the thing is you want to try to stay relatively humane and be able to do things, and you don't want to ruin your reputation too bad, as being a mad scientist might do. Now, in the artwork on these cards are fantastic. We have very, very macabre images of corpses that you can dig up. So this is not for the faint of heart. Some people cannot stomach the imagery of this game. This game is very grotesque as you gather cadavers from the morgue, from the local cemetery, and from Murder's Alley. The process of building your monster is also really cool. You have these puzzle piece monster pieces. You've got torsos that start unskinned, and then as you progress in the game, you have to put skin on them and add their heads and their limbs and try to animate this creature. At the very end of the game, you will be madly trying to outbeat your opponents and build your monster faster than them by animating them. Now, when you roll the dice, you could actually do damage to your monster, setting you back, or you could actually bring your monster to life. And your monster doesn't necessarily have to have all his skin on to be alive. So it's very grotesque, very fun, and really neat. It's also, it plays almost exactly like Lords of Waterdeep, that D&D game. The board game Lords of Waterdeep, it's very, very close to that in the way you're sending out your minions to go gather resources for you as you manage your monster in your workshop. I just think that Abomination is a little bit better in the way it plays, and it's just a lot more polished than the Lords of Waterdeep. As Lords of Waterdeep is a little bit more kid-friendly, this one is definitely not. This is very grotesque. Abomination, fantastic game. Get it. All right, number 2, we have Marvel Zombies. I'm still waiting for the rest of my Kickstarter, but they sent me Galactus ahead of time. And I did get Galactus all painted up, so I'm going to just show him off for fun. So, this is probably the biggest miniature you'll ever get from a Kickstarter. I mean, look at that. He's like half the size of me. Now, Galactus here, he's got some cobwebs for Halloween. He's been sitting on my shelf for a little bit, waiting for the rest of the Avengers to come so he could devour them and their planet. Now, Galactus here, the way he plays in the game, and yes, you can actually play with this miniature in the game, you set up the board in front of this massive base. The other characters can be on his base and in his hand, where you can attack him and do damage. I have the Silver Surfer that comes with Galactus. You can see that Silver Surfer fits right there in his hand. And that shows you the massive size of this figure. Now, when you're playing this game as the heroes or as the zombies, because there's 2 versions of every hero, You got the zombified version and your hero version. Regardless, once you get up to his hand, you can do more damage to him. However, he will crush you, throw you to the ground, and kick you off the base. You can also do damage to him by being on his base, but again, he will step on you, doing more damage to you as well. But those are the best places to be to actually hurt this guy while fighting him in the game. He works off of an AI card system where you're constantly pulling cards every turn, and he'll be reacting to the heroes as they battle him. The different scenarios could be either him destroying the planet, and so there's a board game set up in a straight line in front of him. And each turn he'll randomly blast one section of the board, either the right side, the left side, or down the direct center. And if your hero happens to be there, then kaboom, you get severely damaged. Now, his arm and head does remove, and there is a zombie version of Galactus as you battle him. Now, in this version, you can't get into his hand to get close up and fight him, but he's still just as deadly as he trying to tromps through the city, grabbing you and destroying you. So there's Galactus. Now, this game has a ton of expansions. Almost every single Marvel hero and villain are going to be featured in this board game. I think it's got like 5 or 6 expansions to it. It plays like Zombicide, only the difference is you can play as a hero zombie, fighting all the actual heroes, or you can be an actual hero fighting against the zombies. So in one version, you have the X-Men, which you're fighting Multiple Man, and Multiple Man has become a zombie. So he's multiplied his zombie form, and he's attacking you. So the entire X-Men are fighting against that one hero, Multiple Man. In the other version, when you're like the zombie version of the Avengers, Zombie Hulk will be trouncing around, trying to smash up S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. So you're going to have a ton of different versions of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents pouring onto the board instead of zombies, and you're going to have to be eating their brains and trunching through all these hordes. And then occasionally, instead of all abominations, it'll be actual heroes. You have to eat their brains. And instead of gathering items, you'll be getting little zombie upgrades, and you can even eat bystanders like Mary Jane and many of the other characters from Marvel Comics. So, number 2, Zombicide version of Marvel Zombies. Now, what could actually beat all those games on my list? Well, it is Dead by Daylight. This game came out on Kickstarter. Dead by Daylight is based off of the video game Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is a fantastic game. It's been going for a long time now. It's an online multiplayer game where it's 4 players versus 1 killer. The 4 players are trying to get all the generators started as the killer tries to hunt them down and hang them on hooks. Now, the board game strangely plays exactly like the video game in a lot of ways. The heroes have these nice, big, huge cards, and it's got all the information you need on the back of them. But on this side, it shows your perks, what kind of special abilities your survivors can do, and then the villains also have the same thing. Now, in this game, it's very much a game of cat and mouse as you're trying to avoid the killer and the killer's trying to catch you. When you're playing this game, every player has 4 movement cards, and then the killer has an additional weight card. When you play, you're going to be trying to get from zone to zone. The map is laid out kind of like a flow chart, where you can see here we have these different colored areas that'll take you to different parts of the maps. So the card that you play will dictate which way you're going to go on this map. So if you play the yellow card and you're in this area, you can go that way or that way when it's your turn. But everybody's going to play their movement cards first, and then whoever the first player is on that round will reveal their movement card and then move their character to that space, and it'll go around in a circle. Now, the killer always gets to play 2 turns each round. So the killer will get to play 2 cards. And at any time, they could use up their 4 blood points to get an additional turn. Now, the heroes can also get additional turns. So if you're a survivor, there's certain things you can unlock to try to get additional turns. And if the killer hangs you on a hook, you're going to have to save your friends from those hooks. Otherwise, he'll keep getting a victory point every single turn. Now the game ends when either the killer has gotten his entire hook section filled up by hooking survivors and leaving them on hooks each turn, and the heroes win if they can get all the generators lit up and then get the exit door open and escape. So you're kind of racing each other as in points trying to get to the end. And of course, this game has fantastic miniatures. These miniatures are beautiful. I've been able to paint them all up. I'm going to show them here right now. We have all the killers and all the survivors that are available on the video game. These are all the original characters. None of the licensed characters are featured here. So if you want a licensed character, you're going to have to 3D print your own or find a model to kind of fill in for that role. However, a lot of the killers that are already represented in this game are very reminiscent of classic movie monsters from Hollywood. So it'd be really easy to just take, for example, the Chainsaw Guy and switch it with Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They'll play pretty much the same in the video game and in the board game, so you could always reskin them or make up your own rules. I mean, it's your board game, so do what you want. Another great thing about this game is if you've played it to death, puns intended, we do have some additional perk cards. These perks can be used to replace the ones on your character sheets if you want to change up the game and give your characters different abilities. Alright, well that concludes my top 10 games for 2023 here on the AVP Wargamer channel. I hope you had a lot of fun. I'm going to try to get more content out to you, and so have fun, and the next time it's Wargaming.